So when it comes to study epidemics, various models have been developed. These models are mathematically formalized as a system of partial differential equations, and they offer different perspectives on disease dynamics, allowing us to study various aspects of epidemics, such as recovery, reinfection, and persistent states of infection. So let's begin with the SI, susceptible infectious model, that it's one of the simple epidemic models used to study the spread of infectious diseases within a population. In this model, individuals in the population can be classified into two groups: the susceptible individuals, who can be infected if they come into contact with an infectious individual, and the infectious individuals, the ones that are already infected and can transmit the disease to susceptible individuals. Here, once an individual becomes infected, they remain infectious forever, and the number of individuals is constant. So overall, the fraction of the population of the susceptible state decreases, and the fraction of the population in the infectious state increases. Then the SIR, susceptible infectious recovery model, it builds upon the SI model by introducing a new disease state, the recovered individuals. So now we have the susceptible individuals, the infectious individuals, the ones that can transmit the disease at the transmission rate beta, and the recovered individuals that have been infected but are now recovered and immune to their infection. And based on the relationship between the transmission rate and the recovery rate, an important parameter in epidemiology arises: the basic reproduction number, denoted as R. When R is greater than 1, each infected individual is infecting more than one person. Now, when R is less than 1, each infected individual is infecting fewer than one person. And finally, when R equals 1, the disease is neither spread rapidly nor dying off. It can persist at a constant level in the population, but it doesn't cause a major outbreak. Now, the SIS, susceptible infectious susceptible model, is another crucial epidemiological model. This model doesn't assume that individuals who recover from the infection gain immunity. Instead, individuals who recover from the infection return to the susceptible state and can potentially become infected again. So again, we have two states: the susceptible and infectious individuals. In this case, R is also important, as when R is greater than 1, the epidemic reaches a steady state. Then when R is less than 1, the disease it eventually dies out and the fraction of infected individuals approaches 0. When R equals 1, the disease can persist at a constant level. It doesn't cause a major outbreak, and the disease is considered endemic. Now, disease can spread to various modes of transmission. For example, diseases like influenza or tuberculosis are transmitted when individuals sharing close species and breathe the same air. These different patterns of contact can be effectively represented using various types of networks, like physical contact networks, sexual contact networks, and shared networks. Furthermore, epidemics model can be applied to other types of networks, like the spatial networks and technological networks, to study a wide range of phenomena beyond diseases. Now, before exploring the contact network, let's see some important definitions. Let's begin with networks. Networks are used to represent relationship and interaction among various entities. The vertices, that are the individual entities within the network, such as people in a social network, and the edges represent the connection or relationship between vertices. We say that vertices A and B are adjacent if they are joined by an edge. And finally, the last definition is a graph. A graph is a mathematical structure used to represent a network. It consists of vertices and edges, and we can specify a graph in the Wolfram language by specifying the edge of the network. Now let's see what happens when we consider the spread of epidemics on network using the partial differential equation approach. For example, if we consider the Florence family social network, where the vertices represent families and the edges represent marriage between members of the two linked families. Other example is that we can also apply it to scenarios like the continuous state networks, where the vertices represent different states and the edges represent the state adjacency between them. This approach of modeling epidemics on network acknowledges that in reality people don't interact randomly with the entire population. Now, when modeling disease transmission on networks in the differential equation approach, the equations are adapted into a vector format. In this format, each vertex or population within the network has its set of state equations. For example, for the SI model, each vertex will be associated with two vectors representing susceptible and infected individuals within that vertex. However, instead of directly using the number of infected individuals, we usually employ this expression. This modification is essential because it restricts the disease transmission to only the adjacent vertices. Using this term includes using the adjacency matrix that indicates the connection of edges between different vertices in the network. So if we try to run the simulation in a disease that follows the SI epidemic model, like the US state continuous network, where the vertices are the states and the edges represent the adjacency between these states. We just need to define the network, define the parameters, the parameter beta, the adjacency matrix, and the model. We also define the initial conditions, we find the solution for each vertex, and we plot the solution. We can see that even if a single vertex starts with a small percentage of its population infected, the simulation will result in the infection spread to the entire population. We can also visualize the graph showing the progression of the epidemic through this dynamical illustration. Here the nodes are represented by pie charts depicting the percentage of infected individuals. For the SIR epidemic model on a network, the equation will also be adapted into a vector format, and the infected individual will be represented by this expression. So we'll have the following equations for each vertex. We can run the simulation for a disease that follows the SIR epidemic models on the American College Football Network, where the nodes represent college football teams and the edges indicate whether they have competed in a game or not. So they are representing contact and potential infection between teams. To do this, we can define the network, define the parameters, define the initial conditions, and find the solution for each vertex. We can plot the solution, and we can see how as time progresses, the infected population increases, indicating the spread of the epidemic. We can run a simulation for a disease that follows the SIS epidemic model, such as common cold on the Florentine family network. Here the vertices, if we remember, represent the families, and the edges represent the marriage between members, so it represents constant contact and probably contagious. We can do this by defining the network, defining the parameters, defining the initial conditions, finding the solution for each vertex. The epidemic persists in the population at a certain level, with the individuals moving between the susceptible and infectious states in an ongoing circle. Now let's see the agent-based simulations. They offer a detailed individual-level model. This approach is vertex or agent represent an individual, and the edges represent the interaction between them. But in this case, we use a random number generation to determine whether the transmission occurs or not. This is the reason why we cannot just solve an equation. Instead, we need to run a simulation, and sometimes this can be computationally intensive. Now let's take a look at how the simulation for the SI model works within the agent-based framework. We need to specify which vertices initially start in the infectious state. Next, we define the behavior of the agent in the simulation. We can calculate a random number to represent the probability, helping us to determine whether the transmission occurs or not. If the transmission occurs, we change the state of the susceptible agent to infection. For example, if we consider the online messaging network where the vertices represent individuals and the connections are established to the online messages they send to each other, so we're saying that if an individual is connected to another individual, it means that they have shared a message. Now, if we imagine that one of those messages contains a virus, anyone who opens it has a better probability of getting the virus in their computer, and once they get the virus, every message they'll send will also be sent with the virus. This can be modeled using the SI model on the network with the agent-based simulation in the following way. We define the network, we set the simulation parameters, we define the initial state of the nodes, we define the behavior of the agent, we run the simulation, we plot the simulation. Here the growth in the number of infected nodes follows this logistic-like curve. We can also observe in the simulation that the more external nodes, the ones that are on the periphery, are the last ones to become infected. In the SIR model for agent-based simulation, we know that in this model, infectious individuals recover at a constant rate gamma and transition to the recovery state. For example, if we consider the social network of dolphins, where the vertices represent dolphins in the community living in New Zealand, and if we imagine that there is a disease that follows the SIR model, we define the network, we set the simulation parameters, we define the initial states of the nodes, we define the behavior of the agents, we run the simulation, we plot the simulation, and we can observe that this follows the same trend as the differential equation approach. Now in the SIS model for agent-based simulation, one example is the Sakari Karate Club. If we imagine that there is a disease that follows the SIS model, like the flu, in this model, we can define the network, set the simulation parameters, define the initial state of the nodes, define the behavior of the agents, run the simulation, and plot the simulation. Initially, the number of infected individuals rises, and eventually the epidemic reaches a steady state. And we can also observe this oscillatory behavior. In this case, individuals are switching between the susceptible and infectious state, but maintaining a relatively persistent percentage.